What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new passive income video. Today we're going to have the discussion, guys. Redbubble versus merch by Amazon. Which is the best platform? Now, based on the amount of videos that I make about Redbubble, you're probably going to think that I'm going to sit here and say Redbubble. And that's not the case. I think it just depends on which individual is presented with the options. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about that today. Because I've seen some, different videos of people saying Redbubble's better, some people saying merch by Amazon's better. I truly believe it depends on the person, okay? And I'll kind of explain my opinions here. Now, when we talk about what's better, I want to just be very clear that essentially we're not saying that one is better or the other because of income, okay? Some people think that when you say one is better, like, for example, if I was to sit here and say Redbubble's better than Amazon, people might think in their heads that I'm saying you can make more money on Redbubble than Amazon. That's not what I'm saying at all. It really just depends on the type of person you are, and I'm going to go deep into that. So let's just talk about basics here. Let's talk about acceptance. When you create a Redbubble account, you can start designing right away. Right? You don't need to have an application set up. You don't need to ask people for permission. There's nothing you really need to do. You just start designing. And you put designs up and you make money. With Amazon, however, you have a acceptance letter, right? You have to do an application, you have to get accepted, etc. There's a very strong dichotomy here because this does affect cash flow. In fact, majority of the people who use both merch by Amazon and Redbubble tend to see more income from Amazon than they do from Redbubble. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's better either. Like I said, depends on the person. So for the majority of people around the world who aren't accepted into the Merch by Amazon program, by that definition, Redbubble would be better because by definition it's their only opportunity. Now when I say only opportunity, of course there's other opportunities like Zazzle and Teespring and TeePublic and all these different platforms that we can mention, but for today's conversation, let's just keep it limited to Redbubble and Merch by Amazon. Now, I'll say this. On Merch by Amazon, I've seen certain designs that work better than others. For example, if I was to take this design, okay, and when I'm talking about the design, I'm referring to the actual style, right? When it's a text-based design, mostly like this or something like this, it's not too artistic where it's an image that just may be bought off of some sort of image bank or something like that, like Vecteezy or Vexels or something like that. You're probably going to have a better chance of selling an item like this on Amazon as opposed to Redbubble. When you're on Redbubble, however, now things kind of change. It becomes much more artistic. So if you were to sell, for example, a design like this, you could have a better chance selling it on Redbubble. And that's just kind of the nature of the platforms. Now, of course, we can sit here and argue about small different SEO, topics and words and things like that, but we're taking things at face value here, okay? Redbubble as a platform is more geared towards artists or artistry, right? Things that are more creative, okay? Now, that's not to say that those, high-quality art doesn't exist on Amazon, but it's really not what Amazon is made for. When you look at Amazon designs, a lot of them don't look like this or something like that. They just look like, or most of them, maybe pure text design, something like this, or text with a little bit of images on it. And from what I've seen personally, those tend to work the best. I'm not saying that they don't work, that others can't work, but, they tend to work the best. Or maybe something in like this, an image of like that scorpion that you guys just saw, or an image like this can also work on Merch by Amazon. But these images you can find, like I said, from a bank. You don't necessarily have to create them yourselves. Now, there becomes a point in time where you have to realize, are you an artist, are you a designer, or you're a business? And the way I look at it is if you're trying to achieve that goal of creating passive income, of living let's say a freedom lifestyle where you get enough passive income to do what you want and live the way you want, and you want to turn this stuff into a business, then you're going to have to put the artistry to the side, and that's just to be honest. And it doesn't matter if you're on Redbubble or even if you're on Merch by Amazon. And when I say put the artistry to the side, I'm talking about the perfectionism that comes with being an artist, and I'll explain. As an artist, and I'm not an artist, but I've been in many art classes, I know many artists, they have this idea of perfectionism, like you can always make the art become better. And I think that's a endearing and important characteristic that every artist kind of needs to have to continue pushing the limits, right? In fact, I was in a painting class one time, and my teacher said, you can never be satisfied with your art. You could be proud of it, but you can never be satisfied. You always got to keep moving on, and you got to keep improving, and you got to keep challenging yourself. And that idea of successful artistry could be the idea that holds you back from long-term Redbubble success. I'll explain what I mean. Have you guys ever heard of the quote, perfection is paralysis? Or even analysis paralysis? A lot of us, we tend to analyze our art, especially artists. They analyze their art. They're thinking very deeply for hours upon hours upon hours of how to improve one little piece of art. Maybe it could be, add a little, line here, or erase a little line there, or add a little, shadow here, or do this there. And that's a great way of thinking to improve that one piece of art. But you got to remember, when you're playing on Redbubble, when you're playing on Merch by Amazon, it is a quantity game. Now, there's multiple aspects to the game, but the biggest aspect to the game is quantity. You can't compete in a marketplace, even if you have 2 designs and they're the best designs ever. You're going to have a hard time selling if you only have 2 designs. You're going to need more like 2,000 plus to get quality income. When I talk about quality income, I'm not talking about $5 here and there. I'm talking about literally replacing your full-time job. And at the end of the day, that's what the purpose of this channel is for, to be able to create enough passive income to replace your job so you can live essentially a passive income, financial freedom lifestyle. And I've actually talked about what that takes. And I've talked about how 60 designs per day you can create every single day, and you'll have about 27 days off for the rest of the year. If you create designs every single day, okay, 27 days off for the rest of the year, and you'll have roughly 21,000 designs created. Those 21,000 designs could bring you a passive income that is also full-time, about 36 grand a year on average with the numbers, right? That's assuming that your quality is decent or average to above average. Now, of course, guys, we can pinpoint the outliers. We can pinpoint, for example, the account Illustrata Design on Reddbuble here. Like, I'll click on these guys, and he has whoever this person is, Illustrata Design, has 203 designs, but yet they probably make more income than most of the people on Reddbuble. And the reason why that is just because their art just has captivated so many people. Now, you have to be realistic with yourself. Are you this type of person? Is your art going to be on this level where it just captivates that many people? If it is, then go do that. But for me, I know I'm not, and I have to be self-aware. And that's where self-awareness comes in, to where you guys can decide what's better for you, Merch by Amazon or Redbubble, right? For me, I'm self-aware. I know that Merch by Amazon is not going to work out for me because I've have my account terminated. Now, that's not to say that I could buy another account or I could set up another account somehow, some way. I'm not familiar with the process yet, but I'm sure I will be in the future. But with my self-awareness, I know that I'm not one of these artists. I can't create something as advanced as this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to create my average to above average designs. This is what I call phenomenal design. This is totally above my level, right? I'm going to create my average design, something that I could do in Canva, where I could buy some graphics and use some graphics and put it in the designs. I'm going to change the backgrounds of my text. I'm going to do basic stuff where I can essentially set out designs in mass scale. I heard somebody write in the comments say, playing the quantity game is stupid. You should play the quality game. And I think, yeah, that's great, but you have to play both games. You can't just play one game. Right? If you only design 1 or 2 designs, whether it be on Merch by Amazon or on Redbubble, right? Who's going to find them? And if people find them, how many, realistically speaking, sales can you make a day, a month, a year? The answer is not that many. And so with both of these games, because they are businesses first and they are not places for artists, right? Even though it's marketed as a place for an artist, it really is a business first. You're going to have to play the quantity game, and as much as you can do for quality, but quantity is going to matter more than quality. Okay, and like I said, I've said this before. there's no negotiation on the amount. You need to do as many as you can in terms of designs that you possibly can per day. But for the quality we can negotiate that as long as your designs are average and are buyable designs. Then that's perfectly fine. Now let's talk about exclusivity. Merch by Amazon is going to win in this category. Merch by Amazon is way more exclusive than Redbubble is, right? There's no barrier to entry with Redbubble. As you guys saw, you can create 10 accounts, 20 accounts on Redbubble and have no problems. On Merch by Amazon, it becomes a problem depending on, getting banned and having more than one account, and they're actually strictly against that. So you got to be aware of that also. Now, exclusivity comes with, its pros and cons. It's not just a positive or not just a negative. So when you have exclusivity on Merch by Amazon, well, that's a positive because that by nature means that there are less people on the platform than competing platforms, okay? But that also means that when something is more exclusive, it's harder to get in. So if you're already in it, well, then rejoice, you're in, right? Be glad. But if you're not in Merch by Amazon, well, all that means is that, guess what? That exclusivity is a con for you, okay? Now, in the same token, we can look at the lack of exclusivity for Redbubble also with pros and cons. We can say, you know what? And we can be cynical and say, all these competitors, all these people, man, this is hurting my success, etc. But guess what, guys? Only about 20% of the designers on Redbubble are actually making any sales, meaning 80% of the designers on Redbubble, the individuals, the people on Redbubble, have never made a single sale in their lives. Well, that's actually a good thing for us because that means that majority of the competition is weak and we can stand above the competition and succeed, right? That's kind of the con, turning it into a pro. So with everything and with every platform, whether it be Merch by Amazon or whether it be at Redbubble, there are both pros and cons, right? For the obvious Merch by Amazon cons is that, it's easy to get terminated. They're very strict. You can't have more than one account. But on the same token, you can take them as pros. If you happen to be accepted, you have a better chance of making some easy money. But on Redbubble, right, it's open. It's kind of like an open market. You can join as much as you want, assuming that you're not permanently banned from the platform. Overall, it's a great platform. I would say this. I would say whether you're on Merch by Amazon, whether you're on Redbubble, I'm going to stick to Redbubble, but whether you're on either platform, think of it as a positive thing, okay? Don't look to the negative. I've seen some people quit uploading on Redbubble simply because of the thieves and the bad people on Redbubble. Well, guess what? I agree with you. I agree that it sucks. I agree that it's terrible. But at the end of the day, there's going to be bad people wherever you go. And you can't essentially quit a business opportunity because somebody is, stealing from you or hurting your feelings or whatever the case may be. So I would say this, guys. If you're lucky enough to have a Merch by Amazon account, use Merch by Amazon, but don't forget about Redbubble. Always diversify and always prioritize the income. If you're lucky enough, or if you're not lucky enough to get a Merch by Amazon account, well then cherish Redbubble. Create as many accounts as you want and enjoy the process and look to the positive. So either way, right, we don't get really much of a choice. If you get accepted into Merch, then congrats. You could do both. If you don't get accepted into Merch, well then guess what? By default, your best option is going to be Redbubble, assuming that, you take into consideration the other platforms. And no matter what platform you use, they're good platforms if you make them good. If you work on it, if you devote time and energy and focus, you're going to get rewarded, right? And guys, I think the bare minimum for every single person watching this, 300 designs before you could complain about no sales. Create 300 designs first, then say, I don't have any sales, okay? Because majority of the people, the overwhelming majority, like we said, 80% of the people have never made a sale on Redbubble, okay? And I'm not talking about the people who watch this YouTube channel. I'm talking about the people on Redbubble. I'm assuming that the people who watch this YouTube channel, the number is much, much lower, okay? But 80% of the people have not made a single sale on Redbubble. And majority of the people, I would say probably 80% also, don't have 300 or more designs. So what I'm going to say to you guys is, before you say I'm not making any sales on Redbubble, what do? First create 300 designs. Then you'll see what happens, all right? I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out. Bye.